just singing, you know, just some of that good stuff. Amen. God bless you. Good morning, Bethlehem.
Good morning.
How y'all glad? And I don't know about you, but amen. From Toledo, to be able to stand and to share this word with you that the Lord has pressed upon my heart. I don't know who needs this, but if you haven't read it, you've probably experienced it. And so in that 12th chapter of 2 Corinthians, we're going to lift up verses 7 through 12. This is what Paul the Apostle says, "Unless I should be exalted above measure, through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice," everybody say 3 times, "that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessity, in persecution, in distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then am I strong." Let the church say amen.
Yeah.
And from this particular passage, if you will permit me to tag this text with this title, "Our Sovereign God's Sufficient Grace."
All right. Amen.
Our sovereign God's sufficient grace. God is sovereign, and his grace is sufficient. A little boy went to the grocery store with his mama. It was a small community grocery store, one of those communities like they used to have back in the day, probably in Tulsa, where everybody knew everybody. And the grocery store owner was also the clerk and the cashier and the stock people, you know. This little boy had gone with his mama to the store, and his mama would say, "Get me a bag of this, get me a box of that." And in obedience, he diligently got everything mama said, put in the cart. Cashier, clerk, owner noticed the little boy's behavior, and so when they arrived to the checkout counter, he reached behind them and grabbed a fish bowl full of candy, extended it to the little boy and said, "You've been such a good little boy today. I want you to reach in and grab yourself a handful of candy. Get as much as you can grab." The little boy stood there, shook his head. "Nope." And so the man said, "It's okay, Mom, tell him. It's all right. He can have some candy. It's just everything's, you know, he's been a good boy. He deserves it. Reach in there and grab yourself a handful of candy." The boy said, "Nope." His mother said, "It's okay, baby. You go ahead, reach your hand in, grab a hand full of candy." Once again, the boy said, "Nope." So finally, the man asked him, "Why won't you reach your hand and get yourself a handful of candy?" And the little boy said, "I want you to reach your hand and give me a handful of candy." So the man reached in, grabbed a handful of candy, put it in the boy's hand. And on their way out to the car, the boy's mother said, "Baby, why would you refuse to put your hand and get your own candy?" And the little boy said, "Well, Mama, it's because his hands are bigger than mine." And does anybody here know that's how God's grace works? That God, whose hands are bigger than ours, is better able to bless us than we will ever be able to bless ourselves. Now, what that helps us to understand is that the God we serve is bigger than our problems, bigger than our struggles, bigger than whatever difficulties or challenges we may be dealing with in our lives. But the first thing you need to understand about God, before you ever get to His grace, is His sovereignty. And to help you wrap your brain around what the sovereignty of God really means for us, it is based in the reality that God as sovereign is self-sufficient, self-reliant, self-sustaining, self-existent, self-dependent. In other words, God doesn't need us. Does anybody here, is anybody willing to testify, however, that we really do need Him? And in God's self-sufficiency, God has the right and privilege to be God all by Himself. God in God's godness. He does not require nor request any approval, agreement, permission, opinion, input, feedback, critique, criticism, question, nor commentary concerning what God does, why He does it, to whom He does it, when, where, or how. God is God all by Himself. And as God manifests His godness, we then begin to understand that God is not just omnipresent and omnipotent and omniscient. Does anybody here know God is omnivoyant too? Okay, go ahead and say what that one means, Pastor. Come on, what that means. Omnivoyant means He sees everything. That's why He knows everything. And because He knows everything, He's got the power to do anything but fail. God is the designer, the architect, the creator, the provider, sustainer, the caretaker, the overseer, the ruler and savior. And therefore He has earned the right not only to be God all by Himself, but to do what only God can. And He gets to do it without all of the constant complaining and crying and criticizing, that we so often do when we don't like what God does. But the truth is, the clay does not get to tell the potter how to shape it. The creature does not tell the creator how to make it. The crop doesn't get to tell the farmer how to plant it. And here's some old school parenting right here. The child doesn't get to tell the parent how to raise it. And God, in His sovereign self-sufficiency, has the right to be God without any mumbling, grumbling, complaining, bellyaching, whining, crying, because we can't see what God is up to. I think it was Isaiah who said something to this effect: His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. He's different from us. And so what can we learn then from Paul in his experiential episodic encounter with, write this down, purposeful affliction? All right. That God had a purpose, a reason, an intentional divine will in Paul's affliction. Well, one of the things that we discover as we look at what Paul experienced is that God's sufficiency satiates our deficiency. That His sufficiency is more than enough to satisfy and to fulfill our deficiency. Why? Because like the little boy learned or taught us that God's hands are bigger than ours. And any time God, for whatever God's reasons may be, whether He decides to bless us or burden us, whether He decides to positively affect us or negatively afflict us, whatever God does is right. Whatever God does, He does it out of love and grace. You know what grace is, don't you? Grace grace is defined as unmerited, unearned, undeserved, often unappreciated favor. But did you know that grace, in addition to being unmerited, unearned, and undeserved, it also has to have an element of being unrequested. In other words, you can't ask for grace. Okay, I need to spell it out for somebody. It's a good thing, and we understand that grace is unmerited and unearned and undeserved, but we're not really that keen on the idea that grace is also unrequested.
All right.
Now, the reason we're acquainted with grace being unmerited, undeserved, and unearned is because we are abundantly acquainted with how messed up, jacked up, broken up, loused up, botched up, bungled up, jumbled up, and scrambled up, and screwed up, and tore up from the floor up we are. We know. We know, and we admittedly accept and affirm and acquiesce to the reality that we are not good enough to merit God's grace. We can't work hard enough to earn God's grace. We can't be good enough to deserve God's grace. We get that part. We affirmatively acknowledge that when we juxtaposition ourselves and impose upon us a comparative analysis of who we are versus who God is. When we consider the Lord next to us, and we have to be honest enough to affirm that when we see how benevolent He is, and how bullyish we are, how compassionate He is, and how calamitous we are, how devoted He is, and how destructive we are, how excellent He is, and how exacerbating we are. When we compare how faithful He is and how faithless we are, how glorious and giving He is, and how grubby and grabby we are. When we consider how loving He is and how loose living we are, how merciful He is and how mean and messy we are, how perfect and patient He is and how pitiful and pathological we are, how selfless He is and how selfish we are, how trustworthy He is and how terrible we are, how understanding He is and how unworthy we are, how wonderful He is and how worrisome we are. When we compare, when we juxtaposition ourselves with the Lord, we understand that we don't merit, we don't earn, we don't deserve God's grace. But can we wrap our brains around the reality that, and we really can't even request God's grace? Now that puts another spin on it. Do I need to help y'all with that too? Let me just try it this way. You can't request grace because grace by definition is a gift.
All right.
And in case you didn't know this, you can't ask for a gift. You see, if you make a request and then someone responds and then fulfills your request, that's not a gift, that's a present.
I'm with you.
But by definition, gift originates with the giver, not the receiver. In other words, a gift has to decides,
Yeah.
makes up his mind
Yeah.
to do good
Yeah.
to you and me,
Yeah. Thank you.
not because we earned it,
Well,
not because we deserve it,
well,
not because we merit it, not because we're good, but because he's good. That's grace.
well,
If God gives it to you, you can rest assured
All right.
it's good. Now, people will give you stuff with strings attached. People will give you stuff with expectations.
well,
People give you stuff because. People give you stuff if. People give you stuff with expectation. But God, in his unconditional,
yes,
no strings attached,
well,
his agape love
yeah,
and favor. The Bible says every good and perfect gift
yeah,
comes from above. And let me tell you that if God gives it to you, it's going to be a good thing. Now, let me back up now, because somebody's going to deal with this when you get home. Listen, it may not feel good. It may not look good.
yeah,
It may not seem good. But by the time God gets through using it, you got a guarantee it will work for your good.
well,
Tell somebody if God gives it to you, it's good. But have you, like Paul, ever felt like you don't deserve what you're going through?
well,
Have you ever thought that you've been good enough, or that you've done enough, or served the Lord enough
yeah,
for him to treat you better than what you're going through? You've been faithful.
yeah,
You've been dedicated. You've been devoted, determined, diligent, and disciplined in your duty to the kingdom and your commitment to the king, and yet you got these storms.
all right, Doc,
Listen.
You've been in church every Sunday,
Bring it, please.
and yet
Yes.
these storms.
yeah,
You tried to do right, to be nice.
yeah,
You didn't cuss back at the folk that cussed you out,
yeah,
and yet
yeah,
these storms.
Lord, yeah,
These storms that are causing you great disappointment, disillusionment, and discomfort.
yeah,
Thorns.
yeah,
People persecuting you without a cause. Thorns.
Lord,
Enemies increasing, though you haven't done anybody wrong. Thorns.
yeah,
Turmoil troubling you, and you haven't treated anybody bad. Thorns.
Lord,
Problems piling up, though you've tried your best to do the right thing.
yeah,
Thorns.
yes, sir,
Depression in your mind.
yeah,
Suppression in your spirit.
yeah,
Oppression of your outlook. Even though you tried to stay positive. Thorn.
Lord,
Word is weighing you down.
yeah,
People pushing you down.
yes, sir,
Challenges choking you down.
yeah,
Church Negroes knocking you down.
yeah,
When all you tried to do was help.
yeah,
Thorn.
Lord,
You try to lift people up. People keep spitting in your face.
yeah,
Thorn.
Lord,
Thorns in your flesh.
yeah,
Thorns in your home.
yeah,
Thorns in your relationship.
yes, sir,
Thorns on your job.
yeah,
Thorns in the church.
yeah,
Here a thorn, there a thorn, everywhere a thorn, thorn.
hey, hey, hey,
Thorn.
Lord,
All right.
Everywhere you look.
yeah,
Yes, sir.
Thorn.
yeah,
They buffet you.
yeah,
And you can't help but think you don't deserve this. But I stopped by Bethlehem to tell somebody today,
Lord have mercy.
it's not about what you deserve. It's about what grace demands.
All right. Yes, sir.
Paul felt like he didn't deserve it. After working for the Lord, after doing all he had done,
Yes.
he felt like he didn't deserve a thorn in repayment for his service.
All right.
But God had a different has a greater scope and view of the situation.
All right.
As a matter of fact, to God, the past, the present, and the future is all one picture.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He sees what was just like he sees what is and what's going to be.
All right.
So his perspective, his way of seeing and viewing and understanding, his omnivoyance enables him to see things differently than you ever can. And so we have to learn how to trust the one who sees it better than we can. And if God can see it better than we can, he can handle it better than we can. So God's going to do it a little different from what we would request or ask. That's why I'm glad you can't request grace. Because if it was left to us, we would, instead of requesting grace, we would request them lotto numbers. Come on, I said we. I didn't say y'all. I said we. Me too. I got some kinfolk in here. And when we feel like we don't deserve what has happened to us, we're not wrong, but God has a purpose. And his purpose may not make sense when we compare God's purpose with our plan. But I'm glad that we have this assurance that God is going to make it work for our good. Wish I had some help in here. Paul said that it was because God didn't want him to get the big head. That God, watch this, allowed Satan to buffet Paul with thorns. That's what it says in the text.
That's right there.
The text says, lest I should be exalted above measure. Watch this. Because of the abundance of revelation. Stay with this. Because God had revealed so much. Paul had so much wisdom, so much understanding, so much knowledge that he was really in a place where he could speak over y'all head. Don't forget he was educated by Gamaliel. He spoke more than 10 languages. He was self-proclaimed a Jew of Jews, a Pharisee of Pharisees. He was a very intellectually astute individual. And then add to his already high degree of education the revelation of God. He had the capability and capacity to speak over your head. But kind of like Paul, not like Paul, but kind of like Paul. Y'all don't need to know this, but I'm going to share this with you. There's certain TV shows that I watch that I probably should.
All right. Me too. Oh, we all do it.
I watch Love and Hip Hop. My wife got me watching The Housewives of Atlanta.
I understand that.
I watch Growing Up Hip Hop. And I watch it for one reason only. Because I need a little wretchedness in my life.
Yes, sir.
To keep me humble. To remind me where I came from. So that I don't become so erudite and so upper socialite that I forget where the Lord has brought me from.
All right. Well,
So that the revelation that God has given me doesn't come so overwhelming and empowering that I forget there are people with problems in this world.
all right. Yes, sir.
I need a little mess in my life sometimes to keep me praying. Okay, y'all may not understand that, but some of y'all gonna get it on the way home. Paul said it this way: so that I don't become exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelation, God allowed Satan to buffet me with this storm. Now, let me be clear about this. Satan may have brought it, but God allowed it.
Right.
Don't get this twisted now. That every now and then, super high-powered, sophisticated. That we forget that it's because of his mercies. Because his compassion failed not. We have not been consumed. And so Paul felt like he didn't deserve it. But God had another purpose. And God's purpose was to keep Paul humble enough that he would have to depend on the Lord. He said it was because of the revelation that he received this thorn in his flesh. But again, I want to point out that although Satan brought it, God allowed it. It says in this text, Paul wanted us to understand he prayed about it. In fact, he specifically said, I prayed about the same thing 3 times. Now, there's a couple of things for you to learn there. One, keep praying until you get your answer. Wait a minute, but your answer may not be what God answered. You know, y'all got that part? Yeah, but keep praying until God answers. But here's the other side of it. At a certain point, it's okay to pray, put it in God's hands, and leave it there, and stop worrying about it. Why? Because if God's going to do it, he's going to do it on his schedule, not yours. And so at a certain point, prayer has to be fulfilled by faith. And you trust God's going to work it out. Did you put it in his hands? Let him handle it then. And so Paul said, I prayed about it 3 times. After the 3rd time, I said, all right, Lord, this is on you. And after the 3rd time, the Lord finally spoke up and said, Paul, watch this. I'm not going to answer the prayer the way you want me to. I'm going to answer the prayer the way it needs to be answered. Anybody here glad that God's not going to dummy down his answer because you don't know how to pray right? God said, Paul, here is my response to your request. My grace is sufficient. Now, I know Paul would have rather have had God just take the thorn away, heal the wound, take away the pain. But this is what God said. He said, I'm not going to take the pain from you. I'm going to take you through the pain. Jesus prayed for the church in John chapter 17. And when he prayed for the church, he prayed these exact words. He said, Father, I'm not asking you to take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil that's in the world. God's not always going to take away the problem. What he will do is be with you in the problem. Is that he'll bring you through it. Why? Because God knows if he takes you out too soon, you won't learn nothing. If he takes you out before you're ready, then you're going to have to repeat the lesson. And so Paul prayed 3 times, asking the Lord to remove the thorn. And then God, instead of removing the thorn, made it work for his good. That's a won't he do it moment right there. Go ahead, preach them, Swan. I'm on. Paul says, listen, when I asked the Lord to take away these thorns, what the Lord told me was this, that in God's sovereignty, his grace is sufficient. Let me wrap this up. What that means for us today is that the Lord has more need of your weakness than your strength. Well, that God is not as concerned about your ability as he is about your availability. As a matter of fact, it's not until we learn how to get out of God's way that God can really bless us the way he wants. 14 years old in Chicago, and they had this play that they was putting on at this Medina Temple Theater. It was a play, one of them colored people plays. Y'all know what I'm talking about? The name of the play was Look Mama No Hands. Stay with me a minute, I'm going to tell you the story, I'm going to get out your way. It was a play done completely on wheels.
All right.
Everybody in the play was riding some kind of wheels. Most people had on skates. I rode a unicycle. Y'all know what a unicycle is? Yeah, I used to ride one of them, believe it or not. I used to ride. And I got to be in this play riding my unicycle. And on the second day of the play, I was running late to get down to the theater to be a part of the play. And I'm trying to catch the bus with my unicycle on my shoulder. I realized the bus wasn't going to get me there in time. And so I ran into one of my father's friends named Mr. Crenshaw. Mr. Crenshaw was always sitting out in front of his house on his car, you know, with a half a pint of something and a pack of Coos. Y'all don't know what Coos are, okay. And so I said, Mr. Crenshaw, would you mind taking me down to the Medina Theater? I'm in a play, and the bus ain't gonna get me there on time. And Mr. Crenshaw said, all right, little Swan, get in. And I said, I got about $2-3. He said, get him here. So I got in the car with Mr. Crenshaw. Mr. Crenshaw turned down Roosevelt Road, and he missed the turn. That was supposed to be the turn to take you to the Medina Theater. So I'm sitting there, and I noticed he missed the turn, and I said, Mr. Crenshaw, I said the Medina Theater. He said, I know it. He went a little further, and he missed another turn, and I said, Mr. Crenshaw, you know the Medina Theater is down there on Grand. He said, I know. He kept on driving, looked to me like he was going the wrong way, and I said, Mr. Crenshaw, now if you don't know how to get to the Medina Theater, you should have told me. He said, Lil Swan, do you want to get there, or you want to tell me how to get there? I said, I want to get there, Mr. Crenshaw. He said, well, shut up and ride. Well, now my little feelings hurt, got my little attitude on, and I'm sitting over there pouting, and I'm mumbling and groaning. I'm closing my eyes, and I'm like, oh man, oh crazy, you done been drinking this morning. I'm gonna be late food with Mr. Crenshaw. And by the time I finished mumbling, opened my eyes, there I was in front of the Medina Theater. You know what I learned that day? God is God. He knows what he's doing. And since he's been the way that you want to go, you ought to just shut up and ride. Quit complaining. And let the Lord, who knows what he's doing, do what he does. And the sovereignty of God that dictates the sufficiency of his grace will enable you to experience an abundance of blessing that you would never know if you hadn't just trusted in the Lord. You know, real quick.
Take your time, sir.
God's perfection perfects our imperfection.
All right.
That's what Paul teaches us in this text. Not only that God's strength strengthens our weakness, but that his perfection perfects our imperfection.
My Lord.
Do you know how pearls are made? Pearls are made by oysters. But they're made by oysters when oysters become irritated.
All right. All right.
So this is what happens. A grain of sand, a pebble, will get inside the oyster. And then the oyster, in order to relieve its discomfort, it will poke the pebble with this secretion of a substance that then turns hard and smooth. Now, watch this. The more irritated the pearl, the bigger the oyster. Y'all missed your shot. right, one night, I'm almost through. I gotta tell you one more story.
Come on.
The sovereignty of God is what drives the sufficiency of His grace. So, back in May, for my wife's birthday, I took her to Cancun. Yeah, we went on a little trip.
All right.
Little escapade. Little rendezvous getaway. But this time we went, it was because of a previous trip that we made.
All right.
I ain't gonna tell y'all about the last trip. I'm gonna tell you about the first trip to Cancun.
All right.
The first trip to Cancun, I had gone through some catalogs and magazines, and I had picked out what I thought was a nice little resort. It looked good on the picture. It looked real nice on the picture. But when we got there, I was underwhelmed. I wasn't that ecstatic. It was in a neighborhood that, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of scared to walk through at night to the one little grocery store that they had that was 3 blocks down from the resort. And it wasn't pretty. But I was just trying to, impress my wife with a trip to Cancun.
All right.
Well, God's grace is amazing. Because on our way through the airport to get our transportation to the resort, there were some people who met us and said, come see our resort. And I'm like, I ain't here to be sold nothing. I'm here to spend some time with my wife in Cancun. I ain't feeling all that. And so we get to the room, we check in, we check the place out, and my wife says, honey, we gotta stay here all week? I'm going somewhere with this. So I said, okay. She went to sleep that night. I called the people who had given us the number and said, so how do we, what do we have to do to come and see your resort? They said, oh, we'll pick you up. We'll send a taxi to come get you, take you to our place, let you see what our place looked like. And I'll be honest with you, we got up there next morning. They said, oh, and don't eat before you come. We're going to feed you. Buffet breakfast, all you can eat. I said, okay, well, we got up that morning, we went to this new place. They showed us, and I'll be honest with you, I went out like this heaven. This is what it's got to be next door to heaven at least. This place was so nice, so beautiful, so wonderful. It smelled good. I'm serious, it smelled like a spa. Okay, y'all don't know what a spa smell like. All right. So we go in and we see the place. They show us the room. Everywhere you go is marble on the floor. You hear what I just said? Yeah. Stained glass windows, and I mean, this place was just fantastic. So of course they wanted us to sit down and talk to them, and they wanted to sell us a membership and all that stuff. And we had made up our mind, we ain't buying nothing. But then they kept talking. And they said, look, if you join our little club membership, whatever, we'll give you we'll let you stay this week for free. Hold on. Not only can you stay this week for free, if you sign up, we'll give you another week free with free airfare. And then, after you pay such and such on your membership, we'll give you another week free. And my wife's response, my wife was slick now. My wife said, we got a membership somewhere. The only way we'll buy your membership is if you buy our membership. All right. All right. They said, okay. So we said, sign us up. And it turned out for our good, because the membership we had was one of them bootleg timeshare kind of deals that, they call in perpetuity, that you ain't never supposed to be able to get out of, and then your children inherit it, and their children inherit it, and you get stuck with this stuff for life. They bought that one and gave us one that had term limits. Okay, y'all not feeling my shout there. But here's the part that really blessed our soul and taught us the meaning of grace. They took us back to the little juke joint we were staying in. Got all of our stuff. Brought us to this beautiful plaza resort. Put us in a palatial room that was just so fantabulous. And here's the bonus part. You ever heard the word all-inclusive? So here I am, Pastor Arnold, on the way to Cancun. I stop at the bank and I get some Mexican pesos. I done traded in, about $600-700 of American dollars into pesos. And I don't know how pesos work, because every time I went somewhere, they was telling me that it cost, it looked like $2, but it was like 95 pesos. I don't know how that stuff works. But this is what happened. We get in the room. They got soda and chips and cookies and snacks, all inclusive. They got a bar. Now, I don't drink. I'm just telling y'all this. I don't drink. But they got tequila, whiskey, wine, gin, rum, and it's all inclusive. They got a fridge full of beer. I don't drink beer, but it's there, and I don't care about nobody what y'all got to say about it. The fact that it's all inclusive, that means something. Okay, y'all still miss your shout cue. All I'm trying to say is that God's grace is more sufficient, because He's able to do more, exceedingly abundantly, more than you can think or ask.
sovereignty of God's grace?
Yes, yes.
You decided that you want to respond to God's sovereignty and grace. If you're not saved, to receive His free gift of salvation. If you're already saved but don't have a church home and you're looking for a place where you can grow in your discipleship as a child of God, become more like Christ, we encourage you to come, man, woman, or child.